You are listening to the Cattle Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentek Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentek Consultants. I am Jim, your fun and entertaining host, and with me, as always, is Rocco.
Rocco.
There you go. See, I wasn't going to give you the satisfaction this time of just cutting me off and give me all the fun and joy of a wet sock with your response to my intro, so I took your name away.
You got me a little confused.
That's not really hard to do, but it's fun. But that's okay. All right, so the good thing is we don't have to talk to Rocco today. Instead, we have a guest in the studio. So, look, folks, one of the nice things about working in the design and build industry for as long as Rocco and I have is that we get to make friends and work with a lot of really great folks over the years. And we're lucky today to have a gentleman on the show that we have worked with at both Autodesk and over at BricsCAD. Alex von Svoboda, the Vice President of Sales for Solidspac3, which is the coolest new tool in the construction world, is on the show today. And Alex he's a longtime AEC tech industry veteran, and he's worked at Sofdesk and Autodesk and Procore and a whole bunch of other startups over the years. So probably everybody listening probably knows Alex already. So Alex, thanks so much for being on the show today, my friend.
Hey, good morning, Jim, Rocco. Glad to be here. Yeah, that's a great introduction. And I don't know if we're just crazy or what, being in all that technology. I don't know if it's leading edge or bleeding edge, but it's been a fun ride.
There you go. As long as we're entertained, it's all good. So, and look, we've known Alex for a very long time now. And when Alex came out, he brought Solidspac3 to our attention, right? Rocco and I were thrilled to hear about this like amazing new thing that Alex was doing. And we wanted to tell our listeners about it on today's podcast. So let's start with a little bit, for like the four people out there who don't know you, Alex, let's start with a little bit of background on you. So why don't you tell our listeners about your background, right? Where have you been and what have you done and how'd you end up over at Solidspac3?
Sure. Yeah. So Jim, started in the late 80s, getting introduced to this crazy new product. I was just an engineer in training in EIT at the time, just finished civil engineering and was out there and discovered this product called AutoCAD, which came in a gray binder with some rings of paper inside, and got completely infatuated with this thing and started growing it and using it, setting it up for the company I was working with, the engineering company, and then grew to my own business. Next thing I know, I had 5 people working for me, and we met this company in Chicago at AEC Systems called Sofdesk, and out of New Hampshire, and so started working very closely on their civil products. At that time, it was just the civil survey products, and got very involved with them and started doing a lot of their international work. So spent a lot of time in India and Asia and all over Europe. And then actually they acquired my company. So a number of people actually moved over to Sofdesk, and we became part of that. That was in the early 90s. And then we expanded to other products for architectural products and GIS and so on. But those were the years. And then so I ran at that time Sofdesk Canada, based in Toronto, and then they moved me from there to Europe to open up our European office in Brussels, Belgium, actually in a little town called Waterloo, the famous Waterloo.
There you go.
Yeah, we always wondered how many people had walked over our lawns here. But anyways, it was amazing. And then, of course, Autodesk acquired Sofdesk, and so I worked actually in New Jersey with a number of people out of the New Jersey office of Autodesk for many years. And that was, got involved. That's where I got involved with the early days of BIM. So when I was working then moved to the Manchester, New Hampshire office and worked with a number of people on the AEC group to do the acquisition of Revit. So I was part of the acquisition of Revit, brought that into the company, and that was the start of the BIM process. And that was very exciting. And so, long story short, that's gone on. And here we are today, after a few startups that I've been involved in. And I saw this product came across to me, and they said they are introducing a QA/QC system to follow post-coordinated BIM models and drawings, meaning very focused on construction. And the next part of, construction has been slowly moving to a digital environment. Very slow, but
very
moving
slow, but heading
in
there.
that direction, which is really good. And part of that I see with a lot of the companies have adopted a coordination process now in the BIM world where the trades get together and they find out where all the clashes are and create a coordinated model, a federated model. And a lot of times that is in Navisworks. And so that's happening more and more these days. So this came along, Solidspace came along, and I got introduced to them, and they would ask me if I'd like to join the company. And I was looking at this and I said, well, this makes a lot of sense. We do need some kind of QA/QC process in the construction industry that utilizes all the efforts that have been done to create a BIM model, because that was part of the early pushback was, why do I have to create all this? What's the real ROI? And when they said, well, this is just another step past, because the big problem in the construction industry is most construction projects lose about, on average, 10% of their profitability and the construction costs, which could be a big dollar, to rework things that were either not installed correctly or completely forgotten about. So an example would be that is a big ROI is you're pouring a concrete floor deck, and what keeps contractors up the night before that concrete floor deck is being poured is, did they remember to put all the components and trades in there that should be before the concrete pumping trucks arrive at 6 a.m. and start pumping that stuff in there? So most contractors don't sleep the night before. So they, I thought this makes a lot of sense. If you can combine reality capture scanning, which is really being adopted today and come around, and the price of that equipment has come way down, and utilize all the investment of the BIM model together and have analysis done and turn a report back to the field with the contractor. And this is the field report to tell them what's the problem, where is it outside of the tolerances that they set. So maybe HVAC, they may say, I don't want to see anything that's more than, the less than 4 inches deviation. But maybe process lines, that's going to be an inch. Maybe other things could be less than that. And that's a report that we would generate to the contractor or Solidspace creates to show them what they need to fix. And the beauty about that is to get that report back in the contractor's hands in around 12 hours from the scan. So
it's amazing.
They're scanning, and then that gives them actionable things to go and fix and help them get back or recover some of that 10% of construction costs that they have been accustomed to losing every year, every project. And it's just, I think we can impact that.
So when Alex first brought Solidspace to us, all the stuff that he was just talking about, it excited me. I was really excited by this concept, right? So this is a tool, I think, that really has the capability to literally change the way the construction world works, right? It's a variance reporting system that automatically compares real world scan data against both 2D and 3D design files, right? You can do both here. So you can see, misplacements and omissions, in the field almost as they happen. Letting that now, to be fair up front, right? I always like to be honest with the listeners. Rocco and I signed on to Solidspac as partners immediately because of how impressive the system is, right? So I know all about it. I've done a lot of work with it and background with it, and so I know how it works. But I'm going to spend the show today throwing leading questions at Alex, and I'm going to make him explain to everybody. I'm going to let Alex do my job for me today. So let's start there, Alex. So let's start with a base question here. Is Solidspac, is it just another BIM coordination tool, kind of like Navisworks?
No, and a good question, Jim, because we get asked that a lot, and we're not Navisworks. We are a post-coordination process. So we're assuming, Navisworks is a great tool and does all the clash detection amazingly well. Can we see some clash detection in our system? Yes, but we are, as you stated, a reporting tool to report any variances that on a tolerance that a user specifies that exceeds that tolerance. So we are primarily a field reporting tool, very visual, telling the contractor what it is that's outside of variance, outside of the tolerance, where it is, and where to move it, to correct it, if you want to move it. So that's our primary goal. Our secondary goal with the product is a platform that you get as part of your reports that allows you to actually have a space in the cloud where all your files reside. And these can be some of your big files, like your scans or your BIM models. And those are the things that you don't have to download or use. You work in this cloud application that Solidspac provides to you, and you can invite as many people as you want to join you, and there's no limit on space to go and actually go through the model and investigate or interrogate maybe some of those variances and see why they are as they are, and decide whether you're going to make changes or not with the whole team. So it's two parts. It's for the field, primarily as reports, and second of all, for the team for collaboration. So, we're different from Navisworks completely.
Okay, good answer. So, all right. So look, I understand, right? Whenever there is a new technology like this, there's always going to be people who push back against it. Right, there's always kind of the thing, and I'm sure people listening to it are thinking it right now, right? What's wrong with the way that I do it today? And construction folks in particular, they're notorious for this kind of a response. That's why they're so slow updating the new technology. Look, and I get it, right? There are some absolutely brilliant project managers and supervisors out there who do their job really well, but and they've done it the same way forever, and they don't want to change what works for them, right? And Alex, I know there are people right now saying, "Hey, I do QA checks on my site every day on my own. Why do I need Solidspac?" How do you answer those people?
Yeah, and what I always say to them, this product, Solidspac, is really built for complex situations where it's impossible by our normal way of looking at things or about visually trying to check things to really see this, especially if you have complicated spaces in a hospital or in a pharmaceutical or a high-tech plant that have different piping for different processing lines, and in addition to the fire protection, in addition to all the MEP. It's impossible to see those things. Or just like the example I used earlier with looking at a concrete deck with all the rebar in there and things like that, it's sometimes very hard to see that. So yes, people have done this in the past where they've said, hey, I have a team. Maybe it's even my VDC people that go and they do random checking and measuring and that, but it's just, the word is random. It's you're going to miss stuff, and it's not always you're going to catch these things. So we have a purpose-built solution that looks for these things, it compares these things, and we'll find them. It's not just, as I've heard in the past, well, I look at the point cloud, I look at the BIM model, and I see, I kind of look at it, and if the point cloud is, which is the reality, higher of the walls than the BIM, then hey, then there's something wrong there, so I better go check it out. Okay, yeah. So it's a visual check. It's not giving you what that delta is, or it's not giving you as precise information. You're getting a warning to go check it, but you're going to miss a lot, and there's a lot of work. And is that the best use of those VDC people that are pretty highly paid and probably could be used in other places better? So that's what we're doing. We like to say at Solidspace, we are an accurate system to do it. We're highly economical because you don't buy or pay for any software up front. You're actually consuming reports. We only charge you by the reports that you use. A report could be HVAC, a report could be plumbing, a report could be fire protection. That's a report based on a scanned area that you choose. And so we have bundled pricing based on if you're a big building and things like that, then you can actually reduce the cost of those things. But you're not, the end of the story here is you're not buying any software. You're buying and consuming reports. So it's a service.
Yeah.
One last thing, Jim, I'll just mention because you did talk about it. This actually reminds me a lot of the early days of BIM because a lot of our customers back then saying, hey, I just adopted the architectural desktop or whatever that was.
Right.
I'm really not interested in this BIM with Revit and all this kind of stuff. It wasn't until some of the big owners, like the GSA, the largest land or building owner in the country, said, hey, all new embassies and all new courthouses, federal projects have to be a BIM model for reasons of security and all other things. And we're starting to see that right now, guys. We're starting to work with some pretty big names in the technology side, in the healthcare side, that in the pharma side, that the owners getting involved and they are actually mandating certain things. So we're currently working on a project right now. I won't name names, but it's up in the Boston area. And, the owner said, hey, we need this facility done at this date correctly on this time. And I want to have a process that we can move fast, but be checking this stuff. And they came across us and they said, this is what we need because this is going to verify that we're not going to have these big delays because we found something wrong and we're going to have to fix it. And not only the cost of that, but it's more of the delay of the project getting open. So the owners are starting to get involved, Jim and Rocco. I saw that before, and we're starting to see that again.
Yeah, that's it. It's a big shift in everything that we're doing. So, and I think, the hardest part, of any tool, like Solidspace, that's going to cause a fundamental shift in the way that the industry works, like it did with BIM. It's getting people to take a moment, I think, to understand what it does and why it is so important to them in their daily work, right? This is a big, big change for them. And a lot of that, I think, really is, it's got to be sales and marketing driven, right? To bring it to their attention. So let's wake up the sales and marketing guy over here who's been snoozing in the corner. So, Rocco, I know that we're just getting rolling with Solidspace. But what's the response that you're seeing to our early discussion with construction clients on this product, and how are we getting their attention on it?
Yeah, I mean, look, like you said, we're just getting going, so we don't have real world examples we can even talk about at the moment. But in preliminary discussions, there definitely is interest. We're seeing a lot of traction on our website, and we recently put out a press release about what we're doing with Solidspace and Alex. So you could hit up our website, zentechconsultants.net. And if you go under products, and then you'll see Solidspace, it's also listed there under a service, and we're happy to schedule a demo and further discussions. But there definitely is interest, and look, at the end of the day, we all know, right? there's shortages in the field in so many ways, right? I mean, there's just so much work out there and not enough people, and a tool like SolidSpace helps to um, it helps to increase productivity. It's like Alex said, it's a QA, QC um, tool, and you're looking, you don't want to do the same thing twice, right? I mean, you don't have enough people to do the same thing once. So, so, so that's why, there's interest in this tool.
Okay, see,
Yeah, Rocco, I would say you hit the nail right on the head there. We're hearing that all the time from the contractors we talk to. It's skilled labor shortage is a big thing. Even if you get people at all, but just skilled labor that doesn't have the history or the experience to doing this stuff. And mistakes happen, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And a wall gets put in 6 inches to the right where it should have been 6 inches to the left, and now that piece of equipment won't fit in there anymore. Somebody's got to rip up all that drywall, and it's a lot of wasted materials too, in addition to all the labor. And so it's hard on the environment to waste all those materials, but it's hard to, as you said, Rocco, to find people that can do this type of work. So you got to make sure you have automation tools to kind of help that situation a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So, Alex, kind of tying into what I just asked Rocco, who, by the way, you wake up the sales and marketing guy. What does he do? He goes right into sales and marketing, starts telling people about our website. But that's all right. We won't yell at him for that. That's always good. But yet, kind of, piggybacking on that question, what types of contractors, right? Who is using SolidSpace for their QA, QC, BIM workflows? Who do you see as the clients?
Yeah, so what we're really looking for are the clients, those contractors that are doing, first of all, they're forward thinking, meaning they are using technology. And that's not everybody, but there is some that really jump out that we're working with that have, VDC, virtual design and construction people on staff that are analyzing the model and working with that. And then, have very forward-thinking project managers, PMs, that because at the end of the day, those are the people that make the decision whether you're going to use this stuff or not, because it's their P&L, their profit loss on these projects. So if they're forward-thinking like that, then that's the type of people we're looking for. So the type of projects we're focused on, as I mentioned a little earlier, is the complex projects. And we're talking about vertical construction. So vertical buildings that are not condos, because some of these things are cookie cutter stuff, don't need a lot of sophistication. But the things that have and need coordination and checking for variances, that hospital lines and that have different gases, or high tech that have these big labs or chip manufacturers. Construction of these facilities are really big. So in fact, half of our business, maybe a little more than half of our business, is construction for what we call tenant improvement. So somebody's moving into a space and they are going to design a new configuration for that space. So what's the first problem that they always have? And they get a set of drawings from the owners that said, here's a set of drawings, and these are the as-builts.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Exactly.
You're not even close 90% of the time.
Exactly. So we have one really strong customer of ours in California, in the San Francisco Bay Area, that got burned a couple times, where the owner said, here's the as-built drawings, they're correct. In fact, he gave them to the architects and engineers, and they redesigned the space based on that, only to find that they weren't even close. Mm-hmm. And in both cases, the project, once the owner got told that the design is useless because it doesn't fit the space anymore, and that even though it's been gutted and whatever, there's been things done, they now won't, they lost the project. The owner just canceled the whole project completely, a huge loss to that construction company. So now that construction company uses our solution every time. In fact, I just got a new project this morning out in California with a new client, a new construction company, that they're going to be doing a tenant improvement. And what they want to do is we're going to scan the area. So we're going to get a partner. Solidspace has, working with our partners like Rocco and Jim, we have partners to, they may do scanning on their own, or they have scan to BIM tools. So be able to create that into the CAD BIM model. So what they want to do is scan the space, do what's called a scan to BIM conversion, and create a model. Then they want to use our stuff to compare that model to the actual existing drawings that's supposed to, and get a variance report about how they're working and what is wrong between the two things. So they know right at the start. So that's the first thing a lot of our customers do, is go and just make sure that they've got a real set of as-builts.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they want to do. And then once they get the design started, they use our solution as the construction is progressing to just check what things have been installed and are they correct. So then they can, if they want to, update the as-built, because maybe some things that get installed incorrectly, they may not leave. Maybe it didn't impact anything, and that's okay. They're not going to change it. But that as-built has to be updated too. So we do that. That's a good use, and that's where a lot of our contractors are using it in both sides of their business.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool. It does so much. And you're absolutely right. The as-built drawings, they are never correct. Nobody puts time and money into the as-builts at the end of the job. So what you have is the best guess as to what it is. And you need a tool like Solidspace to go out there and genuinely tell you, here's what is actually in that existing space, and here's where it's different from plan to reality. So, all right. So look, at the end of the day, folks, I think, like anything, right, the construction world is driven by money. That's why we all show up for work every morning. And a tool like Solidspace, it kind of has to show substantial benefit and increased profits and better efficiency, or all of the above, right? So we can sit here and we can talk about the technical benefits of the tool all day, but the people who are making the decisions out there, they're going to want to know how much money can they make by using it, and what are my upfront costs, right? So Alex, what do you see? What is kind of the typical return on investment for contractors who are using Solidspace?
Yeah, and it's always a question we get asked all the time, and we don't have any hard line numbers, or we're extrapolating this or that. We only get really, and it's feedback from our customers. What are they saving? Are they recovering some of that 10%? Are you going to get that back completely? Probably not, but there's always some things that might need to be fixed, but they're getting a good chunk of that. So on a $200 million building, are they saving 20 million, 10%? In some cases, yes, especially if they just find one thing in a concrete floor that they got fixed before they did the pour. That's a huge ROI here. So, people look at a lot of cases and they go, hey, if I just catch one or two things, that pays for the software usage, those reports 10 times over or more, just by catching a couple things that make me look bad in front of the owner or whatever. That's what they're doing. So that's the real ROI. In the case of the construction company I talked to, where they use this in the front end and the back, what's an interesting stat that they gave me that I thought was really impressive is they have a respect now from their clients. In fact, 93% of their business is from repeat business from those same clients. They don't even have to chase a lot of new business anymore, because they are getting repeat business because they've established a reputation of delivering a quality product.
Yeah, you're getting it right. You're making sure things are where they need to be, and it has a huge impact on time as well, which is always at a premium for the construction world. So, all right.
Yeah, and the big thing for those clients too, they usually have a very specific timeline that can you open on time when you said you would deliver
Yeah.
or be earlier. That's big for those guys.
Yeah. And there's always a lot of fees and holdbacks and things that take away your profits if you don't hit that date. So, yeah,
True.
certainly
True.
worth the time. So, all right, look, I think that gives our listeners kind of a good idea of the potential in solid space. And we do need to take a break here to listen to today's sponsor. But when we come back, I want to talk to Alex about the practical side of solid space, right? How it works and how people can get started using it. So stick around, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody. This is Jim and Rocco with Zentech Consultants, and we wanted to talk to you today about Bluebeam Review, the premier quantity takeoff estimating and markup software for PDF out there on the market today. And at Zentech, we are a premier Bluebeam partner here in the U.S. We're here to help you guys with all your Bluebeam needs, from software sales to training, consulting, configuration, and everything in between in all things Bluebeam, from the standard version to the extreme version and anything else you might need. So, in terms of Bluebeam, Rocco, how do people reach out to us if they want to start that conversation?
Yeah, just hit up our website, give us a ring, or send us an email, or through osmosis. That works too.
Osmosis is good.
Yeah, zentechconsultants.net or sales@zentechconsultants.net, or give us a ring, 866-824-4459.
All right, Zentech Consultants, your home for all of your Bluebeam software needs. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. We're talking with Alex von Svoboda from Solidspace about the power of variance reporting with their new tool. And in this half of the show, I want to talk about how the listeners can actually get started using the Solidspace system. So Alex, let's start with the type of software, I guess, that Solidspace is, right? Is it traditional box software? Is it more of a software as a service type of product?
Yeah, so it's the latter, Jim. It's software as a service. You're not buying anything. There's no upfront costs here that you have to commit to, or things you may not use but you've already paid for. No, we are a service that, as you basically consume the reports, you pay for those reports. So, and you never lose that. So if you have extra reports left over, you can still use them when you need them. So it's very easy, and we're trying to keep the cost down for our customers.
Yeah, which is really important. And I think it's one of the things that I really do like about Solidspace, this idea that you don't buy anything in advance, right? There's no risk of buying what we call shelfware, right? Which is, it's a system that you thought would work, but you never got it implemented or working. So it just kind of sits on your shelf, and you're out the cost of buying the licenses for that software. And with Solidspace, right, you're paying only for what you need when you need it, and nothing more. And I think that appeals a lot, particularly to the GCs and the contractors, right? It's like, hey, I'm getting exactly what I pay for when I pay for it, and I think it's brilliant. So Alex, how do Solidspace users actually purchase these variance reports, right? And do they need to have licenses for every single internal and external user who needs access to those reports?
Yeah. So great question. We get asked that all the time. First of all, you can buy your licenses from one of our authorized partners, like yourselves.
There you go.
There you go. So, Rocco can get and set you up with a license that's 10 or 5 or 25. There's discounts based on volume up front. So if you're going to do, we're working on this one project right now. It's 100,000 square feet, pharma building. It's typically based on the configuration we see. We'll go get an estimate. We typically do, the way it works is 10,000 to 15,000, depending on the visibility that you're going to set, that your square feet that you can go and scan an area. So like a utility room or something like that might be a set of scans in that one area, multiple setups. But that scan in that size, 10,000 to 15,000 square feet, would then incorporate a number of different trades. So trades being the MEP, the fire protection or process piping or architectural structural. And each one of those reports, each would be a separate report that you would consume. So say the one we just did, they wanted MEP plus fire protection. So that would be 4. And 4 for that one area. And then, so you would buy, I would say, hey, I'm going to do this probably 10 times. Then maybe I need to buy 40 reports. You can always buy more. And whatever you purchase at that level, at the, say, 25 or 50 level, let's just say, you're getting that discount. And any others you buy on top of that would be at that same level of discount based on the initial volume. So it's very easy to work within that guide. I understand what your costs will be. Now, the other part too of your statement there, Jim, is this is where we make it very easy. So there's no limit on the number of people that you can invite to join your site or to look at these variance reports or look at the BIM model or scan that's sitting on the what we call the Space3 site online. So you can invite all the architects and engineers and everybody, the owner, all collaborate on your site. No additional cost. It's all one flat fee for as many people as you want. You can set the permissions on what those people that you invite can see. So it's flexible in that respect, but there's no extra cost. And the big thing everybody always asks us, what about space? Do you charge for space, storage? Because some of these scan files can be pretty big or big BIM models. The answer is no, we don't. Now, once your project's finished, we give you 60 days to archive it, or you can buy space if you want to leave it there for some reason. But otherwise, you archive it and take it with you. But yeah, there's no limitation on you're not buying licenses. You're just getting an invitation. You, as the administrator, would issue invitations to people, and there's no limit on that to join the site and collaborate and see those reports.
That's amazing. So look, so here at Zentech, right, we do, Rocco and I, we do a lot of work with high-end project management systems and helping, people set up and train and integrate those into their systems. And construction people are used to those systems and the insanely high prices that those software systems can extract from them. And Solidspace it isn't like that at all, right? Like Alex was saying, it's a system that I think it puts the most valuable information on any construction job, which is, was it built correctly? It gives you that information right in your hands in under 24 hours and at a cost that is, quite frankly, really it's negligible against the savings that information, that timely information provides for you on your job. And I think, that the fact that it also provides high resolution 3D visualizations of the construction site as just part of this, just as like an added benefit. I think that's just a crazy useful added bonus.
That's a good point, Jim. Is part of this, and we didn't really go into detail, as I mentioned on the back side where everybody can collaborate. The front side is the reports that are very visual, easy to read, variance reports that the field supervisors or foremen can easily pick up and say, okay, I understand. I need to move that over or adjust this or that. That's the primary. The second part is for really the VDC people and the owners and that to move around and get into the model, interrogate the model. But that's pretty easy to do. We built in all the viewers. In fact, we use the same viewers that Autodesk uses as part of Forge to see the documents, be able to view a Revit drawing, to be able to view your BIM model or the point clouds, E57, but you get all the 360 imagery along with it, be able to view all that at the same time. So that's all part of it.
Yeah, really, really nice. I love your visualization system. So, Rocco, what are you seeing, or what do you think anyway, is the key driver for our clients with Solid Space, right? Do you think is it the affordability, the visualizations, or the capacity to get that data that they need really quickly?
I think it's all the above. I mean, there's just so many benefits all around here. I mean, one of the things we didn't talk about, right, Alex? I wonder if you guys have done any stats, or maybe you should run some stats. But what about the materials that can be saved, as a result of using a tool like this, right? I mean, we for example, we sell our Zen Estimate steel tools for Bluebeam review. So we talk with a lot of people that are working with structural steel, and I hear all the time from them. I mean, we need to find ways to cut down materials, because they're just so expensive. And so they look to purchase our tools. But I think about Solid Space and the impact that it could have on saving materials for people. So it's saving materials, it's saving time, it's saving resources. There's just benefits all around from my perspective, and tying it into discussions that I have with folks.
And Rocco, there is some stats out there. I don't have them at my fingertips, but how the building industry historically has been one of the big wasting areas of waste. Whether it's concrete, whether it's stone, whether it's wood framing or whatever. But a lot of waste is created in the building industry, and we're all trying to think green these days, and this is a tool that if we can eliminate even a small percentage of that, that is a big thing. And, if you don't have to, it's hard to get some of these things with the supply chain issues that we're having today. And then that can impact your opening date and increased project delays. So all these things compound together and really make this a incredible ROI.
Yeah, it really does. All right, so Alex, and I'm gonna, we're talking about laser scan data here, right? Which is not a small amount of data, and you guys are also providing high resolution, the high res, 3D visualization models. And you touched on this earlier, but I want to pop it on. I want to make sure people understand this. So I ask you, is there a size limitation for Solid Space on your online project site, or are there additional fees for data storage? And like I said, I know you said it earlier, but I just want to make sure everybody understands your answer.
So the answer is no, there is not. You can have some pretty big files up there. We don't encourage that. We actually, have some best practices that we publish that says, hey, get some model sizes and this kind of capability. It's easier to work.
Yeah, and just like anything else, right? The tighter, the cleaner the data is, the better result you're going to get. Yeah, but the fact that if you do have an immensely huge job, right? You're doing LAX and a full redesign for just 7,000 acres. You can do it in pieces of really nice, refined, clean data, and never have to worry about it. That's just part of the thing that just staggers my mind that you guys are able to do that. All right, so here we go. So Alex, right? There is one thing that has absolutely just bugged me since the day you came to us with Solid Space. And since I have you on the hot seat today, I'm gonna kind of resolve my curiosity. So for all my listeners out there, right? So Solid Space, it's spelled SOLIDSPAC 3, the number 3. It's like a backwards E. Right? Instead of ending with an E, like the word is spoken. And I want to make sure you guys know that. So if you're looking for it on the web right now and going, I can't find it, it's because it ends with the number 3. And everybody, I get people calling me, they say, oh, I want to talk to you about this Solidspac3. And I'm like, all right, I want to know why. So spill it, my friend. What is the story behind this infamous 3 at the end of your product name?
Yeah, so we see it all the time. The 3 actually represents that we're working in 3D. That's our primary reason why. Now, is there other solid spaces? There is, but that differentiates us from the others. But it's like Solidspac3.com. But it really, for us, is what we're saying. We're trying to work in 3D at all points of time, whether it's the BIM models or whether it's And we can work in 2D too. That's not an issue, but it's primarily you get the best results when we're working in 3D, and the scan is in 3D, the BIM model's in 3D, because we're working in XYZ directions to give you that report.
Yeah. But I think it is very important, and I'm glad you mentioned that again, because I think we kind of glossed over it earlier, that you can work with standard 2D, DWG, and I think PDFs as well, right, Alex?
Uh, DWG, we would need DWG
Okay.
for that. And yeah, because sometimes things are 2D, but they're all at the same elevation, and we can basically just add that as a common elevation. But typically, in a lot of cases, it's just, we'll get some 2D drawings. Maybe they're fabrication drawings or whatever, because we can take those too. And we just want to measure in the X and Y plane.
Yeah, and that works. And just so you guys know out there, right? If because I know there are folks who are saying, hey, we never get the DWG files. We only get PDFs. Call Zentech. We can take your PDFs and we can convert them into DWGs for you, so you can do that. All right. So as always, right, as listeners know, whenever I have a guest on the podcast, I like to let them kind of close out by telling our listeners something about their product or process that I was not smart enough to know I should ask. So Alex, what else do you think is important for our listeners to know about Solidspace that I didn't get around to?
Yeah, the biggest thing that we always are trying to do is that, hey, you don't have to cure or do something. The biggest project you ever did was start off. We have a very aggressive what we call proof of concept, POC, or pilot, that we can get started. We just did a couple of these over the last couple of weeks here, where a client says, hey, I need to be proven that this really works, and I'm willing to give you a scan of my area, or you guys scan it, and let's do a couple of reports on different components, and let's see how you do. And that's this. We can get very aggressive with your first pilot on some pricing, because hey, we're very confident in what we're doing and producing this product. And I think once that you see it and it does what you need it to do, then it's going to become a regular part of your workflow. So yes, we can do these proof of concepts or pilots to get you started at a very easy price, and you'll see it for yourself. Because we know people look at this sometimes and say, this is too good to be true, that you're going to give me these reports here in around 12 hours plus or minus a couple hours. And, depending on how many reports and how many variance you might have in your tolerance, that could range in the difference in that. But, we are really striving for, at Solidspace, with our cloud analytics engine, to right now being around 12 hours for a report. So just think of this is like the ones we did up in last week we did in Boston. We weren't allowed to get into the construction site. So I was using a third-party partner that's a scanning service. They weren't allowed to get into the construction site till 2 o'clock. That's when everybody leaves. So they get in at 2 o'clock, and they scan this area for this pilot that they did from 2 to 6. They were out of there at 6 o'clock, I should say, and back into their office. And they took the scan, and the next step in taking the scan is to register it. So they register the scan because they have to have targets, because they're going to have multiple setups to make sure they can see everything in that utility around from different angles. And then they registered, and that took a couple hours. So let's just say they finished at 6 and they got back to their office by 7. I saw the registered point cloud being uploaded to Solidspace up on their on our cloud service by 9:30 that night. And so our folks took that and they initiated the software to do the analysis, and that probably took about 4 hours, 5 hours to do the analysis on 3 different components that they wanted analyzed. And we had the report back on the desk of that contractor by 8 in the morning.
There you go.
So imagine that, the contract, and they don't believe this. This is hard to believe that, hey, we can go after they finish the construction for the day, we'll go and scan it, and it doesn't work in all cases, but in this case it did. Scan it, upload it, and get a report by 8 in the morning of what you need to adjust.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, probably not great marketing for you, but I kind of think of this is going to be like the crack of the construction world. It's one of those things that once you have it, you're going to wonder, how did I live without this? Now I'm going to need it on every single project. So, all right. So there you have it, folks, right? Solid Space, it really is, to my mind, the biggest, most paradigm shifting tool that I have seen in the construction world for decades. And if you guys want to learn more about it, just reach out to Rocco here at Zentech, would you guys? We all know the guy does nothing but sleep all day, and I need to give him something to do since he takes half of my money. So please reach out to him.
You sure it's half?
Yeah, I'm sure it's more than half. But more importantly, I want to thank Alex for being here one more time. Alex, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, sir. And we hope you'll come back again to tell us more about Solid Space as it continues its takeover of the construction world.
All right. Well, hey, thanks, Jim, Rocco. Appreciate the time with you guys, and looking forward to really working with you and getting this out to your clients.
Outstanding. All right, everybody. Stick around, or actually don't stick around. Come back next time for more of the Cattle Call Podcast.
All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.